When people hear the phrase money laundering, they usually imagine something obvious: suitcases of cash, shady characters, hidden rooms, criminal masterminds trying to clean dirty money. It feels distant, illegal, separate from everyday life. But real money laundering doesn't look like that. In practice, it's quieter, more institutional, and deeply connected to the global financial system. In fact, money laundering doesn't survive despite modern finance. It survives because of it. To understand how money laundering actually works, we need to stop thinking about criminals first and start thinking about systems. Because laundering money isn't mainly about hiding money, it's about making it acceptable. At its core, money laundering is simple. Someone has money that cannot be openly explained. They need it to appear legitimate. That's it. The money itself doesn't need to disappear. It needs a story, a reason it exists, a reason it moved, a reason it belongs where it ends up. And modern financial systems are very good at providing stories. Every transaction generates paperwork. Every transfer creates a record. Every account adds context. Over time, these records don't just document money, they normalize it. The system doesn't ask whether money is moral, it asks whether money is documented. Once money has enough documentation, its origin matters less than its appearance. That distinction between where money came from and how money looks is where laundering begins. Traditionally, money laundering is described in 3 stages: placement, layering, integration. These sound dramatic. In reality, they're administrative. A placement is the act of getting money into the financial system. This is often the most difficult step, not because banks are vigilant, but because large amounts of unexplained cash attract attention. Financial systems are designed to move money, not absorb large piles of anonymous cash all at once. So placement is fragmented. Smaller deposits, cash-heavy businesses, jurisdictions with loose reporting rules, restaurants, car washes, casinos, real estate. These businesses already handle large volumes of cash. That matters because abnormal activity is judged relative to what looks normal. When a business regularly processes cash, irregular flows blend in more easily. The goal at this stage isn't to hide money, it's to introduce it. Slowly enough that it doesn't trigger questions, but fast enough that it can begin moving. Once money is inside the system, it gains access to everything the system offers. Once money enters the system, the real work begins. Layering is where laundering becomes invisible. The goal isn't to move money far away, it's to move it often. Transfers between accounts, shell companies, loans to oneself, trade invoices, currency conversions. Each transaction adds distance between the money and its origin. Not physical distance, paper distance. Every layer adds a new explanation, a new counterparty, a new justification. Individually, these transactions look ordinary. Collectively, they create confusion. After enough layers, tracing the original source becomes expensive, time-consuming, and legally ambiguous. At that point, enforcement doesn't stop because the money is hidden. It stops because following it is no longer worth the effort. At this stage, the money isn't hidden. It's buried in complexity. Integration is the final step. This is when the money re-enters the economy as something that looks legitimate. Investment returns, property sales, business profits, consulting fees. Once integrated, the money behaves like any other capital. It earns interest, it appreciates, it buys influence. And asking where it originally came from becomes almost impossible, often inconvenient. The common assumption is that money laundering succeeds because enforcement is weak. In reality, laundering succeeds because enforcement is selective. The global economy depends on money moving freely. Banks profit from transactions, countries compete for capital, financial hubs grow by attracting flows. I'm not questioning them too deeply. Too much scrutiny slows the system down, and slow systems lose business. Banks are required to flag suspicious activity, but suspicious is subjective. A large, unusual transaction from a poor individual raises alarms. A large, unusual transaction from a corporation, investment fund, or wealthy client often does not. Not because the system is corrupt, but because the system is optimized for scale. Large actors move large sums routinely. Their activity fits the expectations of the system. Questioning them creates friction. And friction is something financial systems are designed to avoid. This isn't a loophole. It's an incentive structure. Banks are not designed to judge money. They are designed to move it. They earn revenue by holding assets, managing wealth, and facilitating transactions. Asking too many questions creates friction. And friction drives clients elsewhere. This is why money laundering often passes through respected institutions. Not because they are criminals, but because the system assumes money is legitimate unless proven otherwise. And proving otherwise is difficult by design. Money laundering thrives in the gaps between legal systems, and different countries have different rules, different definitions, different enforcement standards. Money moves between jurisdictions, exploiting mismatches. What looks suspicious in one country is routine in another. This isn't illegal coordination, it's regulatory fragmentation. Trade-based money laundering illustrates this well. Goods are over-invoiced or under-invoiced. Paperwork doesn't match reality. Value moves without cash moving. To the system, it looks like trade. In reality, it's wealth transfer. Real estate plays a central role in money laundering. Property is valuable, illiquid, and tends to appreciate over time. It's also difficult to price precisely. Two similar properties can sell for very different amounts. That ambiguity matters. It creates flexibility. Buying property through companies, trusts, or proxies adds anonymity. Ownership becomes layered. Responsibility becomes diffuse. Once purchased, the asset itself becomes the explanation. The money didn't come from crime, it came from a property sale. This is where laundering intersects with everyday life. High property prices aren't only a supply issue, they're also a demand issue. Global capital needs places to park. And property offers something rare: stability, legal protection, and social legitimacy. That demand doesn't just affect criminals. It reshapes housing markets for everyone else. The global financial system processes trillions of dollars daily. Against that scale, illicit flows are small. Well, even if they total hundreds of billions each year. Finding suspicious money inside this volume is like finding dye in the ocean. Detection relies on patterns. Sophisticated laundering avoids patterns. Who is responsible for stopping money laundering? Banks, governments, international institutions. Each actor has limited incentives. Banks don't want to lose clients. Governments don't want to scare away capital. International coordination is slow and political. Everyone agrees laundering is harmful, but everyone also benefits from the system that enables it. So laundering isn't ignored, it's managed. Scandals erupt, fines are issued, rules tighten temporarily, but the structure remains, because dismantling it would require slowing capital flows. And slowing capital flows has real economic costs. This leads to an uncomfortable conclusion. Money laundering is not a failure of the system. It is a side effect of what the system prioritizes: speed, scale, liquidity, competition for capital. As long as these remain the goals, laundering will adapt, not because criminals are smarter, but because the system is built to accommodate money, not judge it. Over time, money changes hands. Assets change ownership. Records age. Eventually, origin becomes irrelevant. Only legitimacy remains. Money laundering doesn't hide in the shadows. It hides in plain sight, in paperwork, in transactions, in systems designed to keep money moving. And once you understand how the system actually works, it becomes clear why laundering isn't an anomaly. It's an outcome.